Welcome, dear friends, to another study of the book Green Light by the Spirit André Luiz, through the mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier. Hope this message finds you well this morning. And the chapter we're going to talk about today is chapter 10, In the Street. Today, we're going to see how we should be interacting. Last week was about introducing people. So what do we do when we encounter someone? And we are introducing people to one another. We are introduced to people. This week is our behavior when we go around and we go about our days, walking on the streets, in our workplaces, so on and so forth. What a blessing to be with you today. André Luiz tells us, the street is an important department of the world's school where each person can learn and teach. We have to stop. The streets are not just a means for you and I to comfortably and safely reach the destination and the points we are looking for. But he says here, an important department in the school of the world. And where we can learn and teach one another while we are going to and from places. And then he will give us many examples of what to do in different situations or circumstances. He says, when meeting friends or acquaintances, take initiative by greeting them with cordiality and kindness without affectation. So when we see someone that we know, we take the initiative. We don't wait for them to necessarily talk to us. Because sometimes we're like, why didn't they talk to me? The question should be, why didn't they take the initiative of saying hi? Because perhaps they were worried about different things in their lives as well, right? Now, if you're walking around, many of us in the US might not walk on streets. However, you can take this advice to be useful in any circumstances. Remember, the superior spirits teach us teachings that are timeless. So they also can be used when you're walking around your building at work, your building at school, if you're in college, when you're walking between campuses, when you're walking around the mall, whatever your activity happens to be, this is also applicable. It says, walking in the street, take your footsteps naturally, as we should take our life without running over other people. Then we naturally walk around our places. Maybe we're in a hurry, but it says walk around. Perhaps you are the one who walks fast or slow, or we are trampling people on the streets, crossing them, cutting them. He says, no, take your steps naturally. Then we are more connected to ourselves. We are able to realize we are speeding up or slowing down. We need to take a breath, and we're not zombie walking on our phones, right? Because we see a lot of people walking. That's what they're doing. They're sometimes not even looking, they're just walking. And you have to make sure they don't get trampled over because they're not looking. Don't be that person. He says, walk on the street, take your footsteps naturally. We need to learn to be in the body we have, in the circumstances we find ourselves, and how to better use that to transpire calmness and serenity. Because if we're in a hurry, a lot of people around us are walking fast, we tend to, as humans, to behave with the herd. You're going to tend to do what others are doing around you. We cannot be that way anymore. We have to be the light, the lighthouse where you are, confident, naturally walking, and of course without trampling, running over people. If you take a bus or public transit of any kind, it says take a seat without disturbing other people, without being an inconvenience to other people. How many take a seat and then the bag takes a seat, their arms take a seat, and the legs take a seat as well? So now we are hoarding the resources when someone else could also take that seat. Right? So he says, take a seat without disturbing other people. In the land of smartphones, tablets, and content, we also have to add, because we need to adapt this to our lives. As if you're listening to music, podcast, TV, the game, whatever you're doing on your phone, you need to use earbuds, right? We don't want to disturb other people and force on them the content we are watching. So we want to be mindful. We want to walk naturally. We want to take enough space, but not too much. We want to leave the resources for others as well. Now, say you're driving. The next spot is cars. A lot of us here in the US, if you haven't met me before, I am broadcasting from the spiritual side of Richmond in Richmond, Virginia, USA, United States of America. So he says, in a car, no matter how much of a hurry you are, he says, follow the traffic laws and respect others. Us being in a hurry, according to Andrea Luiz, remember I'm reading from the book, we're not entitled to go 5 over, run red lights, run stop signs, not yield, not give or turn signals. Those are respecting traffic laws, because after all, dear friends, we live under the divine laws, and one of them is the law of society. The other one is the law of preservation. So when we are mindful of the laws that makes the lives of everyone better, when we all follow them, he's saying no matter how much in a hurry you are, that does not excuse you following the laws, the traffic laws, and respecting others. He says, for doing so, you will be protected against evils which can embitter your life for a long time. Let's say in an unfortunate event that we run a red light, we could be encountering another car. And now we are putting our lives at risks, the lives of others at risk. We could be in an accident, and now the action and reaction, the reaction to that action could be very devastating to all parties. So no matter how much in a hurry you are, leave 5 minutes early, watch less TV, use your phone less, and then we will be able to better plan and manage our time together. He says, when being greeted by someone, reply spontaneously and courteously. Someone is saying hi to you, say hi back. Wish them a good morning, a good evening, a good day, whatever the circumstances are. We don't receive a greeting and don't reply. But we are taking the initiative of saying hi to those we know, the friends and acquaintances of the beginning of the chapter as well. In the street, do not hold up people by taking their time and attention with issues that can be discussed at a more convenient time. Let's say you encounter someone at work that you haven't seen in a while. You're walking down the street and a friend that you haven't seen, and they have places to be and things to do, so do you. So he said, don't take up their time with issues that can be discussed at another time. So we are mindful of when to bring certain issues, how much time we have, and it's okay to say stop and pick up another time. A lot of us are uncomfortable with silence. A lot of us are uncomfortable with the boundaries of saying, well, I would love to talk to you about X, Y, or Z. However, I have to be at work. Can we come up with a time for coffee later? And that's okay. It's respectful. And we are not being the ones taking up time discussing something that could be talked at another time. Next is when being approached by someone, although you may be in a rush, practice goodness and kindness. Let's say you are in a rush. You left late, you woke up late, or whatever the situation is. Someone's approached you. We take a deep breath, we stop, we smile with kindness and goodness, and we perhaps give them attention, give them direction, help them whichever way we can as well. Now, on at work, he says, relating to duties and tasks from your work, speak with serenity and comprehension, even if it is only for a minute. A lot of us spend a lot of time at work, be either a paid occupation you have, a place you go to be remunerated for whatever talents and abilities you bring to the workplace, or perhaps you're a caregiver, perhaps you are taking care of someone at home, you're staying at home with your children or elderly parents. He says, speak with serenity and comprehension, even for a minute. Let's think about how many times we are in long meetings where things could be discussed a more concise way, more succinct way, or we say something without thinking before we say, and we regret it, and we have to walk back, and we created a problem, we started a rumor, or we put worries on other people's hearts that were not necessary to exist. So he says, even if it's only a minute, and be okay, dear friend. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's okay to listen. We don't have to share our thoughts with everyone every time, even though that's the culture we live in, where all the conveniences of life and the means of communication make you feel like you have to share your opinion all the time. We don't. So he says, even if it's only for a minute, if we are choosing to speak into someone's life, into a circumstance, if they ask us for our advice, then he says, speak with serenity and comprehension. Don't add to the anxiety. Don't add to the despair. He says, you do not have to commit yourself to an inconvenient conversation. Someone walks to you at work or at church, at the spirit center, at the gym, at the playground, at your kids' school, whichever place you are, and they want to start a rumor, or they want to comment on someone's life. André Luiz says, you do not have to commit yourself to an inconvenient conversation. He says, however, if it is brought up, meaning we're not the ones stopping people to talk about other people's lives, but if someone comes to you, if it's brought up, try listening to it with tolerance and kindness without upsetting the speaker. And you can listen, and you can be mindful, present on a conversation. You can, in your mind, you can say send loving, kind vibrations to that person. You can summon their spirit mentors in your mind and say, hey, please help me with this person. This is crossing a boundary. This is a rumor they're spreading. And they most likely will listen to your request and come help. And then you can say, well, this is not my experience with this person. This is not how I see it. I have to be at work. And you can kindly, without upsetting them, with tolerance and kindness, and André Luiz says, you can excuse yourself from that situation. It says, no one in all consciousness has an obligation to share troubles or conflicts on the street. Or let's say if you see something on the way to and from work, or you are troubled by something that you overheard, or something in your life and you meet that person, we don't have an obligation to put into them the conflict. Or if we saw something, we don't have to share and broadcast and bring that situation to our lives as well. We have to go a step further. We have 400 plus books of Chico Xavier, plus the books of Kardec, plus the Spiritist magazine. It's about time that we go from reading and studying to applying the teachings to our daily lives. And last but not least, André Luiz, if you just joined me now, remember I'm reading from the book Green Light, psychographed by Francisco Cândido Xavier and dictated by the Spirit to André Luiz. He says, in the presence of someone who is sick or after an accident, remember we're talking about the public streets, let us put ourselves in thought in their place and provide the necessary help. Let's say we are going somewhere, doing something busy with our activities, yet we encounter someone who is in need, we say to ourselves, if I were in that situation, how would I like to be treated? Then we do unto others what we would like them to do unto us. So we provide the help, we call 911. If it's safe and you have the skills, you could stop and check the scene and the situation, but only if you have the skills to do so. But we all can impart goodness while we are walking the talk in our daily lives by greeting people that we know, by replying to the greetings, to be kind and gentle with the way we speak, to transpiring kindness and goodness when we speak with tolerance and comprehension, when we walk mindfully, when we are observing how we are behaving, because we can only change ourselves, but we can be a model to others, especially to those around us, to our family members and friends, to our offspring. There's so many opportunities to do the good. And this is a manual to life. This is truly a almost like a etiquette book that you and I didn't have in school. Maybe we had home economics and they taught you how to do the tables and how to choose the right forks and how to, decorate your house and how to cook and organize your pantry, which are very important skills for adult life. But this is the interpersonal, emotional intelligence that we need to start teaching. We need to learn if we haven't had as adults, and we can teach the new generation if we are blessed with being given by God the opportunity of raising children. So there's a lot of opportunities that we can bring these teachings to our lives. Each and every day, we improve and we get better, and that's what matters, right? Dear friends, I hope that you can have a blessed day, a blessed week. Thank you for spending this time with me this morning, broadcasting from the spiritual side of Richmond. This is an effort in collaboration with Kardec Radio. And between now and the next time we see one another, may you stay well, may you stay safe, and I see you next time.